Hi there, thanks for coming to this 5-minute class. I'm Jennifer Croft and I'll be teaching you how to calculate cost of goods. If you like this class, we have a bunch of other classes as well as free resources available at www.5minuteclasses.com. So let's start by a definition of cost of goods. Cost of goods is the amount that it costs to produce or procure a product. So produce if you're the manufacturer, you're the one actually making it, or procure if you're some type of distributor or store owner. And procure is really just a fancy term for you need to buy it or obtain it. People often mix up this cost with overhead costs, and so I want to take a second to distinguish the difference between the two, which is cost of goods are expenses that directly relate to you producing or buying those products. And they're often referred to as variable costs because they're going to fluctuate each month depending on how much you produce and sell. Whereas overhead costs are relatively fixed, they'll stay the same regardless of how much you sell. For example, you have certain costs involved with just opening the business next month, regardless of whether you sell $5 worth of stuff or $5,000 worth of stuff. So, examples of overhead would be rent, utilities, vehicles, accounting fees, that type of thing. So we also need to distinguish it from other terms. So sales is the amount you sell the product for. Cost of goods is the amount it costs to produce or buy it. And then gross profit is the amount left over after cost of goods. So in this example I'm showing the sales was $10, the cost of goods was $4, and the gross profit was $6. So what goes into cost of goods? If you're the manufacturer, you're going to want to add in the labor to make your product, the cost of materials or supplies to make the product, and shipping if you pay shipping on those materials or supplies as they're coming in. And for distributors or store owners, you would simply figure in how much it costs you to buy the product and shipping if the manufacturer charges you for shipping. So the cost of goods formula, the percentage would be the amount of the sale in relation to the amount of the cost of goods. So in this example, you sold something for 10, it cost you 4, and it was 40%. So it cost you 40% of the total price of the sale to produce that product. So here are some ways to improve your cost of goods. You can really attack this from two sides. One is that you're improving the percentage. So the two ways that you attack this is you either lower the cost of goods and or you raise the price of what you're charging for the product. And so here's some examples of both of those, and then I want to step you through how much that impacts it. So in this example, we're going to lower the cost of goods to try to improve our gross profit percentage. And in the initial example, the numbers are the same as what we just covered, which is you sell the product for $10 and it costs you 4 to make it. And so your gross profit is 40%. Watch what happens though if we can reduce that to $3.50 instead of $4, we automatically start lowering the cost of goods percentage, which is a good thing. The other way to lower that percentage is by raising prices. So in this example, same thing. The original example is what we had before. We sell it for 10, costs us 4, 40% is our margin. But what happens if we can raise that price to $12, keep the cost the same, but raise the price to $12? We now improve our we improve our percentage by lowering it to 33.3%. And then watch what happens if we do both of those things, which is we lowered the cost of goods and we raised the price. So in our new formula, we're charging $12. We've got our new lower cost of goods, which is $3.50, and by attacking that on both sides, we're able to change our cost of goods percentage from 40% all the way down to 29.2. Pretty impactful. Watch what happens. Watch how that adds up in a month. So in this initial example, I'm using our original numbers. I'm then assuming that we raised the price and we lowered the cost of goods, and we end up with an extra increase in revenues of $2,000, a savings in cost of goods of $2,500, which translates to $2,500 And over the course of a year, that'd be a $30,000 difference, which will fall straight to your bottom line. So here are some good next steps to take that relate to this class, what we just learned. We also have some worksheets you can use, and you can sign up for our free newsletter so that you can keep learning. So thanks for coming to this class, and best of luck with your business.